Welcome to the Friendlyjordies Podcast.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us again. Hope everyone had a great week. You know, my week was going great until they banned these bad boys.
But not yet, right? Like, it's
mean,
legal.
it's
What's going on? Are we committing a crime or what?
Are we committing crimes?
I mean, if it's...
Feels like we are.
Dude, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, there's no more damage you can do to labor. They're not going to, like, you know what I mean? They're not going to be like, that's it, final straw for you. Like, they'll just be like,
come on, give me...
They're not going to, like...
I know you don't do many favors for me, but can I just have this one? Just this one last... As Fox News would say, freedom pass.
Yeah, like, exactly. I think we're fine.
You can get these, you can still get them with a prescription if you've got a prescription.
What's the prescription?
Yeah,
Boredom.
Nicotine addiction.
Well, you know what, actually, Ali, come on, you should get the prescription.
I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe
Back to
I try and
ciggies?
quit. Back to ciggies. I'm going to try and not...
Like,
go
in all
back to
honesty,
ciggies.
this is actually going to be good for me because I'm properly vaping now.
Yeah,
I
you're
know.
bringing them in.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not a
like,
good sign.
I'm like properly bringing them in. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't
Nah.
like that. So maybe
See,
it's for the best.
Yeah, I'm actually completely on board with it. This is why, look,
Labor's-
this is yet another reason why I like dictatorships. I like
yeah.
it when the government says, no, you're not allowed to do this. Because look,
It's false.
man, I run a self-help channel, and I fully admit it's pathetic and hypocritical of me that, look, I don't vape unless Ali's around, and then I'm just constantly bumming it like some poor first-year uni student.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the dress attire for it. And, yeah, like, I can't help myself. I've tried. Oh, Lord, how I have tried. But
It's your vice.
It's just
It's your vice.
so... I don't know. My entire family has always been addicted to cigarettes. And...
Same, my mum.
Dude, like the only way that I can do it is if it's just not there. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how
So
Cold
can I have
turkey.
some of that, man?
you can like
I think that-
smoke some of that less freedom.
This
puff.
is
Hey, maybe we should all.
Damn, take off the ban. It's inhibiting all.
Yeah, just a shucky ducky kind of day. This is maybe this is it. We can all.
Died.
This is it. Yeah. Well, maybe this is the last one. Maybe we should. I won't.
And look,
this is
can I
it.
just, boys, thank God.
I'm happy.
Like,
actually.
I know, I like the fact that it doesn't feel, you know, you have one cigarette and you feel bad for the next 3 days, I reckon. Like, you can still taste it when you wake
Yeah,
up
I hate
after
it.
a
I
couple of
hate it.
days. It's
I hate
terrible. This, you have to pump like half of one of these before you start being like, I went a bit too hard.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah.
But I just, like, come on, guys. It can't be good for you.
No, it's definitely not good for you. But like,
No, there's nail polish in it.
But you know what's actually happening? It's like everyone that's at the helm of making the decision of banning it, all of their kids are vaping, and they know.
Yeah,
that.
that's the reason.
Because, dude, it has taken over by a storm. Do you know, like,
Yeah, kids are doing it.
I do agree with one thing that they're saying. It's like, this isn't actually a demand-driven thing. It's a lot of it is actually literally supply-driven. Because what's happened is, on one hand, like, your tobacco sales have collapsed, right? And all of these tobacconists have no way to make money. So they're all selling vapes. And it's become really, like, because my partner's a teacher, and every child
He's vaping.
is vaping.
yeah.
And it is...
It's not good. It's actually going to a generation.
That's so good. I'm so glad Labor banned smartphones and they banned vapes. I mean,
that's
really,
sick.
it's the two smartest
When
policies.
did they
is.
ban smartphone? I don't know if that's
No,
That
smart.
was the first thing
kids.
Chris Minns did when he came in. He was just like, no phones at school
Yeah.
immediately,
Yeah.
statewide.
So
Oh,
smart.
yeah,
So
okay.
smart.
But that, dude, that was a thing when we were kids too. Like, because I remember when we were younger, they had phones. We got those
The
flip
snake.
phones, and
Yeah.
but at least we weren't allowed to bring them to school. And if we did bring them to school, they'd get confiscated.
Yeah, but that's because you went to a good school.
Yeah, we were allowed.
Mislav and I went to school.
We were.
They didn't
but,
give a fuck.
But the thing is, like,
The only reason they banned Pokemon cards is because we started beating each other up. And they were kids, you know? Like,
yeah, I remember they banned Pokemon cards in year 6, and I remember them like, oh, what? I can't play the game. And the teacher's like, do you ever play it? I'm like, no, but that's not the point. You know, like, we used to just look at them and be like, shiny. But like, but yeah, like, even when we had phones I remember in high school, they didn't ban them, but it was kind of like, you know, the best experience you can have a phone is kind of just like, yes, Snake. This sucks. And then you just put it down. Like, precisely that long. Precisely that long. You're like, I hate this game. And if someone's like, beat my high score, it's like, get away from me. Like, it's lame.
It's tolerable if maths is more entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Yeah, they have supercomputers. Kids are not supposed to have that, you know?
I mean, I feel like kids are supposed to have computers.
No,
and
I
super
don't.
ones too.
Nah,
No,
man.
I actually think that is
gotta
one of
run-
the only bad things that Kevin Rudd did.
Yeah, I agree. The
Giving
laptops.
Nah,
No,
shouldn't have happened.
Dude, my brother got a laptop in high school, and I was like, "How's it been?" He's like, "It's been mad. I've been playing heaps of games in school."
Yeah.
Quote.
Yeah.
My brother also got a laptop in high school.
And?
He enjoyed it.
Yeah, he liked it. He got a laptop out of it.
Okay, see, this is not the thing
That's
that we
what
should
you-
be aiming for at school. Like, I think that the primary goal is education, not
He
also
had a lot of fun playing various games. He enjoyed it. So
He got
Ali's
into-
pro laptops because of his brother.
Yeah, he got into
It
Fortnite
helped
after
his
that,
psychology.
and he's never looked back. He's still playing
Yeah.
Fortnite.
He's still a virgin. It's not important.
Hey, the last thing on the
Fuck.
vapes, like, look, I get it. It's a very old person way of looking at it. It's like, the kids are all hooking onto it. Fuck, what are we going to do? Just ban it, and the problem goes away. It won't. You're just moving it to a illegal market now. So maybe, so this is what's going to happen. I bet you this is what's going to happen. When you go to a tobacconist and you said, okay, can I get your vapes? They'll be like, yeah, this is the list. Choose which ones you want. They're not going to have that list, and they're going to suss you out a little bit. And they will still keep it, but they'll only give it to probably people that look like me because I'm most likely not a cop.
Yeah, you're going to be cool.
And also, your weed dealer is now also going to sell you vapes now if you want it. So
Yeah, but that's fine because honestly, a major reason why I didn't, I kind of was able to wean myself off of buying cigarettes or, you know, even if like when it comes to those vapes and stuff, I honestly think it is just the shame of walking in there and just being like, how many of those strawberry cigarettes?
It's
You know, like
It's
it's just a
fucked.
bit
It's so-
dirty, and so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
kind of just like, ah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't.
I like limits on it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
kids love dirty.
Yeah.
Kids live in dirty.
Yes.
They're gonna get it.
Yeah, but like I'm hoping that this actually drastically reduces it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is what's really scary about these things. And again, it's all entirely hypocritical. I accept it. I'm a dirty hypocrite. Do as I say, not as I do, or whatever it is. Look, there's no way that when we look at the long-term research of these things, we're going to come back and think, oh, yeah, no, inhaling something that has God knows what chemicals in it constantly turns out that it's absolutely fine for you.
Yeah.
In fact, it's beneficial.
It's not gonna.
I mean, I'm sure that the tobacco industry will come up with studies that say that,
Yeah.
but there's no way. Like, these are going to be bad for people.
But the question is, are they worse than cigarettes?
Who knows?
Because
Who
cigarettes
knows?
are still legal. Like,
Yeah,
what's
it's-
the
it's a
point
bit-
of
I
banning
know that
something?
argument, but the thing is, it's like, look, cigarettes, this is the other thing as well. Okay, maybe if you made vapes prohibitively expensive, that would be awesome as well. But that's what's happened to cigarettes.
But that's what they should have actually done with vapes, honestly. It would have even reduced the
Maybe.
consumption of adults because one of the things that happened with cigarette smokers after cigarettes just became exorbitantly pricey was that they started rationing their cigarettes, which is a good thing because you're smoking less.
Yes.
And I think they could have done that with vape. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction, which isn't really going to solve the issue. In fact, it's only going to make vapes. Do you know the one thing?
Well, look, it will reduce vape intake.
It might, but
It will.
But the question isn't what we want is it might reduce vape intake, but it might actually increase injuries from vape smoking. Because once you move it into the unregulated market,
Yes.
then like there's no tobacco companies aren't making it. Then who's making it?
You're right.
In their backyard are making it and shipping them out everywhere.
Well, come on, it's not like Chop.
Yeah, but it is a little bit.
Really?
But the thing is, companies have to make these things.
So, okay, here's the other thing. They did a study, I think this was in the US, of everyone that came with a lung injury because of vaping. Do you know what they all found out?
That they were very.
found out
that they were
that-
100%
They're
cool.
tinkering with it.
That they were 100% cool people.
Most of them,
That's a given. Why do they need to research that?
My diagnosis is you're really cool,
and over
but my lungs still hurt. Well, do you want to be cool or not? Well, you know I charge by the hour. Sorry.
they found out that an overwhelming majority of the cases that came with lung injuries as a consequence of vaping was actually from vaping weed,
Yes.
and which will make you think,
shit.
maybe weed is bad. It's like, no. Weed's not bad. The difference is normal
Mixing it.
nicotine vapes are still somewhat semi-regulated, whereas weed vaping is not regulated at all. So people were making them in the backyards, and the consensus of this study was that you should avoid vaping, but if you do vape, then try to get it from a reputable brand, as opposed to someone that is filling up vapes in their backyard.
Yes.
And so by banning vaping, you're essentially getting rid of all of those vapes and you're moving it into the complete unregulated market. So you might get an overall decrease in the amount of people vaping, but you're going to get an increase in adverse health effects from it.
Yeah, you probably will.
Right.
I think really what they should have done is just started charging $200 per canister.
I think that would
That's the
actually
way to
work.
do it.
Yeah,
That
probably is.
And
better.
then on top of that, because this is what I'm always saying, idiots like me that do vape, that you shouldn't, by the way, I think that you should just harness us as tax batteries. We should be paying a huge penalty to society for then clogging up hospitals and being like, my lung needs, and you
Yeah.
have to pay for that as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Because, like, man, once I heard this amazing wisdom from this obvious lifelong smoker in Lithgow when I was walking out of the shops once, and she was saying, my sister the other day was giving me a hard time about smoking. And she said, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to pay for that when you go into bloody hospital and I have to pay for the taxes. And she said, mate, you know how fucking expensive these things are? I'm paying for that shit when I go into hospital.
True.
That's my health insurance. I'm paying for that shit.
Oh, that's so depressing.
That's bang on.
She's probably paying more in taxes than regular private health insurances.
For sure.
How much is a private health insurance?
Maybe not. It's like $200 a week.
Yeah, but if you
She's
smoke
like,
a lot,
oh, yeah, maybe she's making a pack a day.
dude, that's more than 200.
I actually recently got health insurance because of...
You did
Well,
it.
that was silly.
You did.
Yeah, because of my partner. She said, if you don't, it's stupid, can you fucking do it? And it's...
yeah, you just got to gloss over that one.
I'm anti
Health, pathetic.
I'll get rid of it. But
No,
I think I pay
No,
about...
I think you should make this argument to her in return, and I think that this is the way to do it. Instead of giving a company...
sorry. Go on. Sorry. No, go on. Sorry.
Figure out how much you're paying in health insurance.
I'm telling you,
How much?
$100 a month.
$100 a month.
That's not a lot at all.
Well, then,
But
if
you don't
that's
get
the case,
anything out of it.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Actually, it's still $1,000
you
a
should
year.
just put $100 a month away
Yes.
in a separate bank account.
Yes.
And that's your health
Yeah,
fund.
but here's the problem.
That's
Here's one
genius.
issue, sir. You also pay less tax if you have private health insurance, so it evens out.
Does it
Yeah,
actually though? Does it?
Maybe it doesn't even out, but like it becomes a amount that is not exorbitantly high.
Yeah, but it's... No, that tax rebate thing's even a scam. Unless you're... Which was designed for it, by the way. John Howard did that so that companies could then just get private health insurance for their own thing. Basically as a way of undercutting Medicare. But
Fuck.
that's good for them. When you're doing it en masse, you are getting like good tax rebates out of it. You're not getting good tax rebates personally. It really doesn't.
Yeah,
help.
I'm trying to figure out exactly how much of a rebate. I reckon it's like either $300 or $3,000 a year. It's one of those.
Well, maybe it is
Well, if it's
worth it.
$3,000, Jesus, then you
It's
are.
not $3,000. Maybe it's like $364. I'm trying to remember.
get some
Wow,
back.
so 3 months worth.
That's
Yeah.
not good at all.
God, you'd be stupid not to get it.
Yeah, so you're still paying like 9 months of it.
Holly, you've just talked yourself out of. You've just proven
Yeah,
why
and-
it's
and this
bad.
The thing is, like, honestly, it's such a rip because really, what do you get out of it? This is what people always say. It's the same thing as my girlfriend when she's talking about, I don't want to go to a public hospital. It's this. Yeah, but you get your own room.
And I think that's not even true.
No,
of
but
the public
there's a
thing.
problem with that. The problem is like a lot of people that even have private health insurance don't end up going for the private patient coverage. You know why? Because sure, you get like some advantages of like less waiting time, blah, blah, blah. But you still have heaps of out-of-pocket expenses. Because the private health insurance often would cover 70% or something like that. And if you're like a regular full-paying customer and 70% of your medical bill is paid by your private health insurance, the remaining 30% is still a lot because it's health. And it's just expensive. So a lot of people that have private health insurance end up just using their Medicare like anyone else anyways. I think it's only good for like older people when they want like joint replacement surgeries and shit like that.
Or MRIs, they're expensive. You guys, do you want to hear something? Do you guys want to hear something? Set your faces to laugh. I can't believe I'm even saying this. It's so fucked. Just on that note, right? This is like a segment, basically. You want to hear the next chronicle of Mislav's ear chronicle adventures? Do you want to hear the next? Do you want to hear the next installment? Do you want to just? It ties into what you were saying. Yes. I know about the expenses of healthcare, and I know how much MRIs cost because I went to a ear specialist.
Oh my God.
And the ear specialist was $250 just to see him. And I was like, yeah, well, I gotta figure this out. So here you go. And he was just like, And his diagnosis was, I've got your chart from your doing the ear exam. Everything seems normal there. My diagnosis is, this is all very strange and I don't know. How do you feel about forking out $800 to do an MRI? To which I said, I don't see an alternative to that. So I am going to go and get an MRI of my head for $800. That'll probably come back and say you're fine.
No, it'll come back and say, you were fine until you got the MRI that gave you a considerable dosage of radiation. You now have head cancer.
So that's the latest in the ear chronicles. I'm going to get an MRI for a probably non-existent condition. That's the latest. That's the latest. And it's booked. I'm doing it. I'm going in. And
how much does the ear chronicles cost you so far?
Oh, I mean, I've seen
we all
one
know about the
specialist.
freebie one that you did.
Which was the freebie?
The freebie was testing if
you mean needed a hearing aid?
We all know.
Yeah, we know. Okay, so we all know about the hearing aid. We don't have to delve back into that. That was thankfully tax deductible or free or whatever. That was a wild ride. Then the specialist number one was I think $80, which I just gave him like cash, which basically felt like a drug deal. I don't think he was even a real doctor. Like he was just kind of like seemed very sus. He came in out of the practice to do it. I'm like, you're not. You walked in on the street. Anyway, that was like $80. That was, I think maybe it was $250 for the specialist. So it's cost me over $300. And it's about to get jacked up into the over $1,000 very soon.
Shit.
Oh, man.
I don't know why you're still at it.
Yeah, now
Like,
vapes are a lot cheaper. Stick to them.
Why haven't you just given up?
Because I have a slight distortion. I don't care if it kills me. I'll empty my bank account to find out why.
And
anyway,
you will.
So that's an update. But so what I'm saying is, you have private health insurance. You know, if you good for MRIs.
I don't think it covers.
It doesn't.
No.
Don't say it.
Yeah. I don't
Fuck.
think it does.
You do those rip-off health insurance ones like Ali's doing, and then you'll find out very soon that you might get a rebate on acupuncture. And
Hey, let's.
Yeah, exactly. You get like, do you want acupuncture? No. Well, maybe you'll change your mind. You know?
there's a lot of this as well of like, oh, you broke your index finger. I'm sorry, it only covers middle fingers. There's so much of that when it comes to private health insurance.
True. I love Medicare. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Private health.
Here's my cover.
You brought it up.
It's called Light Bronze Plus. It's $93 monthly, which is about to turn into $97. What's included is brain, eye, ear, nose, and throat, tonsils, bone, joint, muscle, joint reconstruction, blah, blah, blah. What it doesn't cover is heart and vascular system, blood, plastic surgery, podiatric surgery, implantation of hearing devices. So doesn't cover that. Cataracts, joint replacement, dialysis, pregnancy, assisted reproductive services, weight loss, insulin pumps, pain management with device, and sleep studies. It does not cover any.
What does it cover? Say what it
covers dental surgery, back, neck, spine, lung, chest, diabetes, excluding insulin, breast surgery, skin, pain management, chemotherapy, miscarriage or termination of pregnancy, gynecology, gastrointestinal endoscopy, hernia, digestive system, male reproductive system, kidney, bladder, joint reconstruction, bone, joint, and muscles, tonsils and grommets, ear, nose, and throat, eye, but not cataract, and brain and nervous system.
Ear, nose, and throat's a big one because they're usually expensive. That's who I had to see.
Yeah.
So maybe it is worth it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, these are all very complicated decisions, and maybe we're not the most qualified to tell people about what health insurance they should. But I stand by it. Don't get any kids.
No, I'm standing by it as well, even though
Yeah.
I did get it. But that's because I was forced to do it.
Dude, I'm such like an old man. I realized when I saw the ear specialist, I was just like, I was like sussing him because he said some fancy word and he's like, this is what we call it. And I'm like, yeah, that's fancy. I've never heard of that before. He's like, well, it is my job. And I was like sussing him out, being like, I don't know if it is though. I think I could get your degree in a day on Google. That's what I was thinking. Don't know if it's true. But you see these doctors sitting around in their nice offices. They just whack out some Ask Jeezed image, like I reckon they sit around their office all day being like, different word for hearing loss. And it's like, akadukarafafi. And he says that and he's like, well, my work's down here.
Yeah.
How is
I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. And he
know.
was so young. He was like in his 20s. I'm like, you know, you're a scam artist, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be just as ashamed of yourself as that guy, the Roman guy.
I'm going to be honest.
King Charlemagne.
Yeah, you're just as shameful as King Charlemagne. That's what I should have said.
Just as much of a fraud.
That's what I should have
And
said.
you're just as illiterate.
I'm just saying this off the cuff of a one-time observation. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with the fact that I had to fork over $250 and I was bitter about it. Nothing at all. Just an observation.
Yeah, but I always think that about doctors.
Yeah.
God,
You guys are insane. This is how you know a civilization is about to collapse.
where you use
When, like-
experts.
Yeah, when like society is
It's
just
pathetic, I know.
like,
But like, come on, there is something about going to a GP where they say like, okay, you have to go to this specialist, and then you go to another specialist, and they say you have to go to another specialist. There's just this endless conga line, and also, you know, when you break like a finger or something like that, and then they say you have to do 3 different scans and come back to me every time, and then I'm going
Yeah.
to come back and say it's broken.
Yeah.
yeah, because they're.
I don't need to go back. Just give me the. I can look at it and say, yeah, there's a little frac. I know.
You were right about that, by the way. I got the scan and it wasn't broken.
See, they
So
do
you were
this
right.
stuff.
Yeah, he was
You
right.
know, Socrates said that he was referring to elections, but he said the problem with society is that the public will never be happy with a doctor that feeds them a bitter medicine. They will always prefer the sweet shop owner that gives you sweets.
Yeah, he's
It's not
right.
even that. The saying should be the
We're all
man.
frauds.
What did you say?
Socrates.
Add it to the list of pathetic frauds. No, it should have been this. It should have been like, man gets frustrated when the doctor sends him around the stone-cladded street loop. The man is happy when the doctor is to the point in
It
succinct.
just fixes it.
In fact,
Fix
their saying
it.
should be like, the doctor isn't worth his salt unless he looks like a 1920s caricature of a doctor and he doesn't sort of rustle around and needlessly inject you with things you don't need. That's what it should.
Yeah.
Take this one, oi! Like that's what I want. I want more shots, damn it. I'm cramped.
He who hath a donate to Red Nose Day appeal box on their desk.
Shall be lashed 50 times in the town square. And the red nose shall thusly should be placed in the rectum as punishment.
The brown in me is getting offended. Shut up.
Yeah, of course.
What are you talking about?
Because that's his ticket out.
It's his ticket out. It's his ticket.
I don't even know what that means. What do you mean it's my
Because
ticket
they're
out?
all brown.
Because they're all brown. Like,
I
that's how
forgot.
they get citizenship.
Yeah. But you know
Hey,
what?
keep that in mind. We're going to talk about this massive immigration reform that Labor is doing.
Yes.
But before we do that, something more important.
I've got something more important, Ali. Can I talk about this?
Okay, do it.
What?
Miss.
Yeah.
I watched James Corden's final
Oh,
episode.
dude, I watched parts of it. I watched Limmy's reacts to him singing, being like, "It's the last show." I just watched that, but so how was it? I only watched bits of it. Is it all I think it was?
I gotta say, I'm a fan.
Fair.
Fair?
Well, this is the thing. I saw him do the musical number. I'm like, the man can entertain.
That's what I thought afterwards. I was thinking,
He can
man, you know what? Like,
entertain.
like he sings, he dances,
Yeah.
he tells a joke. What more do you people want?
Can I
Do you
just...
know how good you had it under James?
I'm with you. I'm with with you. Yeah, his laughs are kind of annoying, but it's not enough. He's not. He hasn't created mass sins like doctors.
Can I remind you, Jordan?
No, I'll remind you this. Laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah, it is. But I was subscribed to James Corden's show on YouTube, and you paid me out for an hour. You paid me out for an hour for having subscribed. And I told you the only reason why I was subscribed to him was when I first saw his show come. Well, no, not that. Before that. I subscribed to him when he first started his show, and I watched, and I was like, this guy is good, but no one in America is going to give a shit about him, so I'll subscribe. And you paid me out for an hour for doing that. And now, 7 years later, you're like, nah, he's all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ali. I was wrong. I realize this actually a lot of the time. A lot of your crap entertainment decisions, I look back on with wisdom, and I think, hey, is anyone else doing anything better? Didn't think so.
Yeah.
Now I think he actually is the best late night.
The last night is gone.
The last night.
I'll let you get it. There you go.
Show all over
He
again.
was the best. He's gone now.
He had this mad joke that he started with where he said, I've got to go through the news one more time. A glue truck has fallen over in Illinois, spilling glue all over the highway. Talk about getting stuck in traffic. Hit it, and then the band just went, and then he just sat there for an hour. Just cut it to me. He sat there for, sorry, not an hour, like a minute, just going, oh, he's on fire. Last night, he's done it. It was mad. Like, it was just, the whole show was just him paying out how he is, and he couldn't believe that he was on for 8 years.
Shit, okay, that's pretty good. Ali, there you go. You're right. Ali, you're right. I mean, look, I literally watched just the musical number. I was just like, the man can entertain. So, like, you know, I don't know. Look, I'm neither here or there.
Yeah,
but,
I'll say he's musically inclined. I'll say that.
I will say,
Lemmy,
I hated the music, and I wish he didn't sing it down.
Really? Oh, it's just my music. I'll be
I
like,
wish he
he's
just
got
sat
chops.
there being fat and getting paid out like the guy from Hey Hey It's Saturday was, which is what his show turned into.
Hey, remember his beef with Bill Maher?
Yeah, the fat thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all. It's late night hosts, and I think he learned this actually very quickly. They should just shut up and not have any opinions.
How would you do that when you're a host?
Wait, who should shut up? The host?
What should be the monologue?
Well, I mean, obviously Colbert gets the highest rating, so maybe you shouldn't listen to me at all. But Colbert could kind of do it because he did politics for 10 years, so he kind of gets what he's doing, you know. But all of those other ones, like Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Kimmel does not.
No.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. It's just, no, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
You're not doing it right.
No.
And I think that's actually what's happened to a lot of the Comedy Central ones as well. It's like, yeah, Jon Stewart doing it, Bill Maher doing it, even Stephen Colbert. I mean, I hate his current format, but he had the best late night show on Colbert Report. That was incredible 5 nights a week television. I don't know, man. I just think that him doing dumb stuff with celebrities and just kind of having this fat, annoying face while he like somehow always got the worst end of the deal. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah, but he's also very, very mean to waiters.
Yeah, but whatever.
I think you should be entitled to do that if you're a late night host, don't you?
Yeah, particularly
if you're a big celebrity, you should be able to treat the rest of us like absolute shit. Russell Crowe had it right.
Yeah, it's kind of fair. Fuck it. It's like if you can't do it at super famous, when can you do it? That's a fair call. Why did he get why is he being? Is it cancelled or he's quitting or why?
I think his ratings are down.
Yeah, I think he said that I've decided to leave thing, but I think. Well, I don't look. They're all down. The late night host ratings are abysmally bad.
Yeah, no one watches him. I don't watch him anymore.
I miss Conan.
And I used to binge on that. I used to watch all of them back in the day.
Man, Conan was the worst. Conan's views were terrible.
But I still think he was the best. I don't get that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I just like the guy. You know.
Yeah, but like, dude.
But there's no reason to tune into him. That's the problem.
He's more of a. I would only watch him on YouTube.
He was also on TBS. Had he been on whatever, Corden's on ABC or some shit, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on ABC, you're gonna get some channel surfers to just stop. But with
CBS,
Conan,
but yeah.
Yeah, but like one of the main networks, right? Conan, on the other hand, was doing it for TBS, which was like 120 on your TV channels. Like no one's going there.
Nah.
It's either YouTube or commercial. There's nothing else.
And let's be honest, it's a dying format. I mean, CBS isn't replacing it with a late show.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Doing a completely new format.
Probably fair, yeah. Smart decision.
Right, yeah. Probably
I just
is.
don't really know. Yeah, it's just kind of...
No one's
You know,
watching it
last year
anymore.
was the first time that people streamed more than they watched television.
Wow.
Shit.
It's just
up.
dying. No one's. I mean, who turns it on? I don't have it like TV. Like no. I'm surprised you watched it. Like
So I just popped up and I
Yeah.
thought,
No,
all right, I'll
it's-
give
you
it a
watched.
go.
You watched the whole thing. How long was it?
It was like 44 minutes or something.
It's because they
Wow.
uploaded their last episode on YouTube in full.
Yeah. I think I'm just a sucker also for every time a late show host does a last... I watch them all. I watched like Conan's last one when
Yeah.
he was on NBC. I watched
Yeah. It's
David Letterman's.
Yeah.
There's something really... When a
Charming.
legacy show ends and then the whole crew is crying. And
Yeah, it's nice. It is a. I would be
It's nice.
sad.
The whole crew is crying.
Kind of though. It's just
Yeah,
it's very
sentimental.
bittersweet and sentimental.
Yeah, it's definitely. It'd be sad to see it go, but at the same time, I think I understand why streaming is. I mean, everyone does it. Everyone. I don't know. I'm mixed about it. But part of me is kind of like do it with the vape thing, where it's like I like having limited choices, but then part of me is also like, like old ancient Buddhist poem. How much Anthony Bourdain is enough? Answer.
Not enough.
There's never enough.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I think one day I'll be shriveled up in the corner, covered in piss and shit, and they'll be just like the repeat rollover of No Reservations, being like, I'm back in Tuscany, and that's how they'll find me, just being like,
Dude, Anthony Bourdain was overrated. I'm gonna fucking
he's not.
say it.
I agree. He's overrated.
he's dead and that's sad and everything.
No.
But he
Dude.
was definitely. You know who's better than Anthony Bourdain? Who's that fucking American with the red bandana? Who's just going
I don't
around
know.
eating crickets in Asia?
Oh, you mean Zimmerman?
No, not him.
Oh,
Bandana dude. He does the best ever food review show or something like that.
There's so many now, but I'll agree. Bourdain wasn't that good. But dude, I'm just a sucker for New Yorkers that eat any food and go, oh, it's good. Just anyone. That's my Achilles heel.
All right, look, let's talk about this. We've got a few segments today. So first or second, whichever one we're doing, PM is getting into some trouble because he's attending Kyle Sandilands' wedding.
Yeah, very unprofessional.
And where the guest list includes Chris Mins, by the way, who's also going.
The
But
real criminal.
his best mate, who's the real problem character. What's his name? John Ibrahim.
Yeah. Who, by the way, has never been convicted. So
There you go.
take that in your pipe and smoke it, hippies.
Yeah, but isn't it like obvious that he was a drug peddler?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But
You can't be called the king of the nightclub
So-
and not do a bit of drugs.
Susan Lee, or Lee, whatever the fuck her name is, her take was, it's okay if you've got a mate and you want to go to their wedding, but just this wedding is going to cost millions of dollars, and has the Prime Minister considered that the people of Australia are doing it tough, and the best thing for a Prime Minister to do is not to take days off to attend their millions of dollar friend weddings. I'm paraphrasing.
That is all. Thanks, Susan. Great coverage as always. Look, is it possible for you to be a prime minister and not attend a function that doesn't cost millions of dollars?
Yeah. And
You are the prime minister of a developed nation.
I'll rephrase that.
That's
Is
true.
it possible for a prime minister not to attend the rating magnet
Yeah.
of FM radio? He's eaten up every talkback radio host numbers, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Kyle
he's a-
Sandilands. Like, he gets, his viewership is insane. And the best thing is that his viewership is, a lot of it is apolitical. And so
Yeah.
everyone.
And
Dude,
just-
I
in
was-
the western suburbs.
and
Dude,
the Western suburbs.
my reaction was literally I swear, I don't know, bipolar kind of, like my initial reaction was like the bum wharfy kind of like, what the we're doing it tough and he's DJ, that's bullshit, we should be ashamed. But then, because I've hung out with you so much, it just kicked in and I was like, you know what? That's on a micro level. On a macro level, it's genius, because no Labor government can exist without the machine, the corporate media machine backing them. On a macro level, it's genius. No Labor politician no mainstream Westie, call in and you might win $500, like sort of like soft news sort of media conglomerate even supports labor. The fact that they support him and then have him at his party, it's genius it's genius for the party, and they need that. So I think it's actually genius.
Yeah, that's why they're doing it. That's why like
It's
fucking
smart.
the entire cabinet is going to be
Yeah,
at
like
this
Labour have
wedding.
been beaten down for so long that it's like, dude, take the wins you can. Just go, keep writing that. DJ, who else? You know, if I don't know, if anyone, just DJ
And
anywhere.
also, Kyle isn't that bad. He did that song, that rap song with like, go get that jab. Get the jab. Do you remember that
Well,
song?
no one's perfect.
He came
that's,
out-
that's definitely not a win in my book. But
Look, love him or hate him, you don't have to agree with everything he says.
That was the lamest thing I've ever heard since Kevin Rudd and Koshi's song.
yeah,
But those are great. I love those very cringy moments of 50-year-olds doing stuff.
yeah,
that
it is
goes
pretty.
viral. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
on
the best entertainment. Look, honestly, look, it's not even that as well. It's also, you know what the greatest part of all of that is? It stirred up huge amounts of controversy, and you had all these liberals coming out trashing Kyle Sandilands. Oh, you want to play it?
Yeah, I want to play it. I'm sorry, I got
Do you wanna
distracted.
play
I
it?
definitely want to play
I've
it.
never heard
Yeah,
it.
chuck it up.
Just remember this genius that existed once.
I mean, look, this is only going to be a positive, I'm sure.
All right, here we go. Sorry.
But they are playing the big game, right?
Absolutely.
They're not
playing
sitting
the
there
game.
being like,
Because-
oh, I need to DJ.
Well, no, but this is the other.
Vaccinate and
Sorry.
listen. We are back with a brand new injection. Someone grabbed a hold of you tightly, rolled up your sleeves with a daily or nightly. Will this ever stop? Yo, we don't know. But stuck in lockdown really blows. Too many people think Vax is a scandal. Take 2 shots and COVID's handled. Pfizer or AstraZeneca. What rhymes with AstraZeneca? Oh yeah, America. One of 100 places you can travel to. So just relax, lay down your tinfoil hats and just get vaxxed. So we can go back to the old ways, shaking hands, kissing strangers all day.
All right, that's enough.
He's a good rapper. That's not bad. That's better than. It's not bad.
That's so
Look,
lame.
there's a reason he's the judge on Australian Idol.
Yeah, he's got talent. He knows talent.
Actually, good point. What association does Kyle have to music to be on
He
Australian?
listens to pop all
He's,
day.
he's on radio.
Yeah, but
Who's
that
more
doesn't-
qualified?
Every mum in the world. What the hell?
Yeah, they're listening with him. Yeah, that's true.
Nah,
yeah, but
look,
do they have the uncanny abilities of Kyle Sandilands to look both perverted and mean at the same time?
Yeah, that's
Have you seen him?
impossible.
It's amazing. You should see every wedding photo of Kyle Sandilands with his. Do you know his wife?
Not personally, but
I thought you did.
no. Wait, I don't know. Are you
Mislav is
serious?
friends
Well, it used to
with
be
marketing
his
executives?
PA or whatever, and that.
Oh, I know. So a girl from my school, from primary school, was his PA. Maybe
And it's not her.
No, that's not his wife. So maybe she left, but she she looks like she could have easily been, but I don't think she is. No, but I
What
did.
might have been.
Yeah, but I don't
Could
know
have
if
been
she's
swimming every day in a pool that has Kyle Sandilands' face in his ace at the bottom.
Yeah, which is another. You guys know that. You know that story,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Do you know that story?
No.
So
Oh.
Holly, my ex went to a party of his, and he was just like, "Welcome, girls, welcome." Didn't even know him, and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do a party." And there's just a giant. He's in his pool. There is a giant picture of his face on the bottom. I'm like, yeah, insane.
He's such a kid.
And I asked her, I'm like, "Was it a good party?" And she just, with a blank face, wholeheartedly said, "Yes, it was."
Of course it was a
Yeah,
good party.
was.
True, I don't know.
You're not best friends with John
Hey,
Ibram for nothing.
And let's not forget my brother's interaction with Carl Sandilands.
Oh,
Six
yeah, go
six
on,
degrees
go on.
of separation. My brother was skating one day, skating around, and he noticed there was like a really nice sort of, not a limo, like a Audi, I don't know, some nice
Rolls
car.
Royce.
Rolls Royce, something hectic. And there was someone in the front, and he was just like open, and he was just like, "Who is that person?" And he just skated by to see. And he realized that with the window down, it was Carl Sandilands just engulfing a Big Mac. Like, you know that kind of thing where he's in his own he's in the Big Mac universe. He couldn't even interact with him. I think he even went, "Hey, Kyle," and he was just like, and he kind of looked at him and was like, yeah. And so that face of like, "Kyle, yeah, that's me," and just kind of looked up and was just like, he just kept going. Like just for a second was taken out of reality, then back into the Mac, and then just skated off and just left him. He stayed there.
You know, I used to know a producer that worked for them, and they used to say that every time a ratings season came in, and then they'd be like, "Yay, we're number one! Pop the champers!" And everyone would be having a party, and Carl Sandilands would just get immediately off air, not talk to anyone or look at anyone in the eye, just pick up a bottle of champagne that was on the table, take a huge crate of pizzas at like 9 a.m. in the morning, and then just waddle off into his Rolls Royce and be like, "Let's go."
Damn, I would do that. Would be me. Time to celebrate independently. That's amazing.
Yeah, can we start working for him instead of you, Jordan?
So good,
That's
wouldn't it? I would gladly be his shoe shine boy.
Oh hell yeah! That's
And I bet
incredible.
you he would have a shoe shine boy.
I-
For sure.
Yeah,
That's
but he still
incredible.
wears
And that man
sneakers.
isn't stingy.
That
That's
man.
amazing.
Dude, he spent $180,000 on his wedding flowers.
Oh my god!
And that was at a discount.
And that was
Fuck.
can you imagine?
And he's got a kid now, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad he's
Otto.
done it. That's his name,
Is it
Otto.
Otto?
Oh, amazing.
Fuck.
Amazing.
Otto Ginsberg's.
Well, there you go. Unanimous king. And I think, yeah, like, whatever, dude. Politics is a 4D chess, and, like, you need the media behind you. It's not a...
Well,
it's
the
not
great thing about it being 4D chess is that I listened to it this morning to hear what Carl Sandilands was. Well, let's be honest, I just listened to it anyway. But he was playing all these Liberal and Nationals on television in real time, saying this is disgraceful. He shouldn't have gone to that wedding. And then you have Carl Sandilands sitting there being like, "You Barnaby, I'm never
Mad.
inviting you to a party again."
Perfect.
And that's amazing.
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
It's not like-
he's just burned all the bridges with the Liberals,
Yeah.
and he's never going back to, "I like Gladys, she's nice to me." Now
Perfect.
Albo's nice to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Chris,
Chris
Minns
Minns is nice.
Exactly. And it's not like a great thing that's how the Western society runs. And it's like a fat that literally is a millionaire and eats bread, like tip-top bread and milk on the regular on its own, decides the fate of our country. But that's not a good thing.
No,
that's how it is.
That's better than the ABC. I'm telling you now.
He probably is. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. At least it's like...
Look, at least he supported Chris Minns. No one else
Exactly.
did in the mainstream media nexus.
Exactly. And at least
No one
they're-
else was supporting Albo.
And it's like your point.
I-
It's like your point when you're like, I like people that are outwardly, at least is honest. There's no machinations. There's no like, Kyle says what he thinks, and like you got to pay that.
Yeah.
Not this sort of like, well, I think that it's just this obfuscation of truth about money, which so many people at the ABC do. It's like, well, the Greens are good for this. And it's like, you just care about your wage. Just shut the fuck up. You don't have
Exactly.
convictions, and that's
Yeah.
not that's.
Now,
That's
Carl stopped
bad.
caring about that long ago, ever
Yeah, I
since
don't
he
like that.
owns coconut water now.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't give a
At least you know what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I'll tell you this, it was really interesting. Tu was listening to it on the way for her to go vote. They played the segment where Kyle and Jackie O were playing, "Whose policy is this?" And they were just going through the state policies. And without naming whose policy it was, every single Labor one, Kyle was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, is that Minns? Yeah, and Minns is nice too.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
That's,
You know,
that's
like he
huge.
actually genuinely likes battlers. There's a
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
that he has such an audience of Westies. It's
Yeah.
because he is one of those scumbags and he likes the scumbags.
Yeah, and you
know?
can't escape that. If you've literally been homeless, talking to a guy who has been, it's always there. It's always there at the back. It's like that bridge is looking mighty damp.
All right. Well, speaking of labor policies, let's evaluate a new labor policy. I saw the press what are those called? The press
Club? No.
the press club. Yeah, good. Miss, thanks. The press club address of our new home minister. That's her name. That's the
Home Affairs.
Home Affairs minister. About the new migration policy.
Mm.
Oh, I heard. Look,
What-
this is where I'm. This is where I'm back on Dutton's side.
Really?
Well, aren't they apparently just like Labor's new policy? We're just going to literally bring into here. It's like the whole country. It's like, I know it seems
No,
dramatic.
actually, it's
but,
not.
Well, Townsville's not that small. It's not as small as you think. No
That's-
questions. No, there's no time. There's no time.
That's
That's how I interpreted it. That's my.
it's straight up. That's straight up propaganda. That's
Oh,
not the case.
okay,
In fact,
okay.
with this migration, even though the focus of this policy isn't necessarily to reduce or increase the number of migrants, but the net effect of this policy would actually be reduction in the number of migrants coming in.
Dang.
So, but it's so good. It's something that we should have done 10 years ago. We somehow were okay with the fact that our migration policy is just this extremely complicated, mishmash of minister discretions deciding which super yacht requires which staff members. It was so silly. It was dumb. So okay, here's the thing. Here's a few things that she's done that they're about to do. Firstly, they're dividing all migrants into 3 categories. The category number 1 is the highly skilled people. These are not normal people. These aren't just like your everyday software engineers or IT specialists. These are your potential Nobel laureates type of people. And so these people, it's a very easy pathway to citizenship for them and permanent residency. But that's such a small sliver of people that we don't have to focus on them. Then comes the second criteria of people. These are the skilled migrant workers that we've been intending to get into Australia for so long. However, they've raised up until for the last 10 years, the way the migration system worked essentially was that you came to Australia, you studied at an Australian university, you somehow managed to get a job that paid you $53,000 a year, and once you had done all of this stuff and your points added up, you had a pathway to permanent residency. They've increased that amount from $53,000 to now $70,000.
Wow.
So unless your job is going to give you $70,000 a year, you don't have the pathway to skilled migration and permanent residency anymore. What's been happening is that a lot of the migration that we're getting are essentially people that
low skilled
that are in Australia, but there's a legion of temporary workers that either don't become permanent residents, and so they continue to just move from one visa to another visa. They're essentially not even here to study. They're here to just work, right? So they they enroll into some university course that is essentially bullshit. These universities are running scams, and they're getting international students getting their money, and just it gives them their visa, and that allows them to work for Uber or whatever they might be doing and make money and maybe send some money back home. And so the pool was essentially just these people, and the immigration department's job was to stifle out from within that pool which are the Uber workers that are actually skilled, and then you give them migration, give them permanent residency pathways. This was not a good system at all. This wasn't meeting any of our demands. So what they're now, the raising it up to 70,000 actually gets rid of a whole host of people that would have been in that category of people. Because getting a $70,000 job now is, it's not an extremely high-paying job, but it's big enough for some bullshit small business or even medium business not to exploit you, where they'll be like, okay, I'll give you some minimum wage kind of things, and it might add up to 53,000. So as long as you keep working for me and being exploited, you might have a pathway to immigrate. So those people are now gone. So that's the second category of people, and most of the immigration is going to actually happen in this category. The third category of people are the low-skilled people. So it will be very rare for someone in that category to get into permanent residency unless what they were doing as a job was something that we really require. So things like aged care work. It's not necessarily the highest paying work, but we desperately need people to come into that. So essentially the low wage category will be reserved to just those people, which will get rid of a lot of people that are essentially shuffling around in that and permeating into the permanent residency group altogether. The other thing which I think is probably the best thing that they've done is that, or they're about to do, is that right now the immigration department, after consultation with businesses and maybe unions, come up with this list of occupations which they think is important for Australia that they would need. And there's like ridiculous amounts of professions in that, and they're so niche. Like literally, there's one niche which was mentioned in the press club speech is super yacht crew members. Like it's very, very niche. So what they're doing is they're essentially getting rid of all the discretion that a minister might have, and they're making this new department which they've already made. I think it's called the Jobs and Training Department, which their entire work is focused on consulting business groups and unions and keep a dynamic list of people and professions and areas that that Australian economy currently needs. And so instead of the minister or the Liberal Party or the Labor Party, whichever party comes into power,
but also this is also, I know about this one as well. You know what else it started as well, which I'm very, very happy about. The Liberals was always just this one size fits all, just dump them in Western Sydney, we'll figure it out later. That new department that you're talking about also, and this is what I'm really excited about, thinks, no, we should be offering these TAFE courses and these incentives in TAFE to fill those gaps. So the first call always is to retrain and upskill the population that's already here.
Yeah, and definitely. And so hopefully that's something that's going to happen anyways. And the minister said that the point of this isn't to substitute workers, but the point is that certain areas of our economy, even if we upskill people at a certain pace, the jobs that are required for them are outpacing
That's
it,
good
right?
migration.
And also, like,
that's good migration.
The green transition requires a very skilled workforce that is going to be able to do that.
Hell yeah.
So I think that this is maybe 10 years late, but this is a good sound policy.
Exactly.
I really, really like this policy.
Isn't that amazing as well that you have Ali, who
unskilled
wants to
worker.
welcome the boats in with open arms, have this 21 gun salute to all the refos that come here. You got that guy there, and you've got Mislav nodding at the same policy.
Yeah.
That's how you know that you've done something sensible.
Hell yeah. No, I'm absolutely. That literally is the definition of sensible.
Yeah, and the other thing that this new department is going to be doing, and I hope they do it, because a lot of these at this point are promises, but they're going to be also consulting with state governments to see which areas of the country require what kind of skills and try to stifle the immigration pool into those areas as well, depending on what they need. So if this works out the way the government intends for it to work out, this is going to be a game changer. The only drawback of this is that the preference of students that come to Australia and study at international universities is probably going to be sidelined, and what's going to really matter is if you've got the skills. So if you've got the skills living in India or wherever you might be that are applicable over here, you'll get permanent residency. And if someone that's studying in Australia and might not necessarily meet some of those criteria will not be given priority in this manner.
Sick.
Which, the drawback of that, in my view, is that, like, these people, if they go through the grind of an Australian university, they end up getting used to the culture and assimilating into Australian culture a bit better. However, having said that, if the consequence of doing that is that you have this constant stream of unskilled workers and you have to choose, like, you know, the one-eyed in the group of blind, then I would still prefer someone that hasn't gone to an Australian university to come, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
So
that makes total sense.
I think this is a step in the right direction. I think this also makes us more competitive, because what was happening was that, and I know this from experience, not my personal experience, but some of my friends who were thinking of, they're highly skilled people. I actually mentioned one of them on the Up Late. This girl that I know who is like legitimately a genius, and she's she's a tech lead in Pakistan right now. And so one of our friends was convincing her to apply for citizenship in Australia. And she was saying that, if I'm going to do that, why don't I go to Canada? It's going to make my life a lot simpler. I don't have to wait for as long. I go over there. My skills are going to be recognized. I'm going to get permanent residency like months and months earlier than my pathway in Australia. And part of it was because of that convoluted system of sourcing people only from universities, essentially. So this makes Australia a much more competitive place. Like, it kind of makes it a market for highly skilled people overseas.
That's good.
That's amazing, Ali.
So yeah, it is. It is. It's very
I'm
good.
going to have to do a video on this.
Yeah, I think
Hell
you should.
yeah.
I think this is actually a good policy. I was
That's
very,
what I'm
very
talking-
satisfied with it.
That's nation building right there.
Yeah.
That's what you
actually a
want.
policy.
Like, come on, we're a developed nation. We are the envy of the world. We should treat ourselves as such.
Yeah,
We
fucking
really
oath.
should, because we are aiming for something bigger here. We're aiming for something that
Hell yeah.
creates a society that has all of these positive on-flows to the rest of the world, such as the green tech revolution. You're looking for these industries to be built here, which is not only profitable to us, but it will just globally be profitable for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And if you are using migration as a tool purely to increase Coles' sales every year,
That's insane. Yeah,
you know, like
so
it's
insane.
just,
But
it's
you
just
know-
abuse. It's absolute abuse.
Shuffle them out to the west, and then it's an insane thought. I just had the image of that. I'm
That's
just
what
like,
they do.
I know, but I've just had this insane image of like all these people in the west, and then like they're like the libs are just sort of like finally nation building, and it's just some guy comes into Woolies and it's just like and it's like there's a shot of the guy and a shot of like a pack of broccolini, and it says like discount, $3.20, and then the shot of the guy and he's like and then the shot of the broccolini, and he just goes, nah, puts it back and leaves. That's their policy. But the other one might buy that discounted broccoli. That's what the Coles has enough money.
More people, more of a chance.
There's also a hidden.
Study economics and get
There's-
back to me.
There's also
Get back.
there's also a hidden evil advantage that we get out of this policy, which is kind of evil, but it's still an advantage nonetheless.
They bring those little things, the chew pack things, the wood
No,
chips.
no. So what's happening now is, so if you come to us today after this policy, if you come to Australia as a fresh student who wants to study over here and then find a pathway to permanent residency, you have to be firstly in a field of education that Australia wants, but you also have to be a good student and you need to be focused on your studies. If you don't do that and you still come to Australia, you can get at least 8 years of living in Australia. The way this works is you go into a university degree. Let's say the university degree is kind of bullshit. It's not going to give you permanent residency. You complete your 3-4 years, however long that takes. Then now you're automatically, so this is the other thing that they're going to introduce, which is that upon graduation, you automatically get a temporary graduate visa, which used to last 1 year. I remember when I first came to Australia, but this was a long time ago, but then they made it into 2 years. And now you can almost get it for 3 to 4 years, which means that you get 8 years of your life to live in Australia without having to meet those skilled requirements. You're a temporary resident, you don't become permanent, and you get to like earn whatever you want. However, after that time period is over, if you don't fit into any category, you kind of have to go back. So what that does is the hidden advantage of that is you get a whole host of people that will be doing the low end working jobs, right? So your Ubers, your like, you can think of those minimum wage jobs that you might need for, and you suck up their best years. You usually come when you're in your early 20s. And if you continue on this trajectory, you're probably going to give 8 years. So you're maybe like 30, 31, 32. And at 32, you have to go back.
Wait, 33 isn't your best use?
No, I'm saying like, the most sort of hard-working years of your life.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So,
Fine.
so what I'm saying is,
that too, so I fucked both of those.
you
I'm
get
a
like
joke.
you get like those low
This week's
wage.
podcast episode entitled "Over the Hill."
This week's pod title is "Just Kill Yourself."
Make room for the skilled migrants.
Yeah, fair. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, well, I can't disagree with the policy. Sorry. Anyway, go on.
But back in the day, what I'm saying is like back in the day, what really got you Australian permanent residency was not necessarily how brilliant you were, but how persistent you were at gaming the system, right? Because I'll give you one example. So my friend who you've met, Jordan, who works in Newcastle, is in the process of applying for permanent residency. He is a software engineer who works for one of the big companies in Australia. His salary is probably $120,000. He works in a field where there's a dearth of people. So he's applied for Australian citizenship and he's going to get it. But the point system was such that in order to get an extra 5 points and to hasten the process of him getting permanent residency, he had to take this course where they teach you how to build your resume while this man is hiring people and reading resumes every day for jobs that are $80,000, $90,000 a year. So do you see how like stupid and broken this system
Oh my
is? Like
God, yes, I do.
this man doesn't need to be doing this.
No.
Like he's hiring people already. He's earning $120,000 a year.
Yeah.
What's the point of doing all this? That's what I'm saying.
Nothing.
Like sometimes what gets you permanent residency is not how skilled you are, but how persistent you are and how you can deal with the system.
Right.
And the problem,
Man, yeah, okay. Look, you raise numerous good points, Ali.
yeah. So this is hopefully going to get rid of that because it's going to get rid of all the backlog of people that were like, you know, in those low end jobs. So all of a sudden you have new places and someone like him who's earning a high wage and is in a field that there's a dearth of people in should be able to get their permanent residency in a month, in 20 days, as opposed to 2 years, you know? And that's what actually convinces someone like him to go like, hey, maybe I should go to like Germany. Maybe I should go to Canada. Maybe I should go to the US. Like it would be much easier for me to do all of this shit over there.
Ali, please do me a write-up of this.
Yeah,
this
I can
is
do it
great.
right up. We can
This
write
is
a script for
amazing.
it.
This is awesome.
Please do that. That's...
I'm surprised you didn't
Wow,
notice
because
already.
that's always just been the thing that's always stuck at my craw about Labor when they came in and they said, yeah, we're going to increase the Liberal Party's target of migration.
Yeah.
No, not like this. Really hurt.
Yeah.
And it was always the thing when people said, you are critical of Labor. Well, now I've got no reason to be critical of them again.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's great. You should definitely do a vid of that. And James Corden's final show on a video on that too, but both important.
And the Home Affairs
can
Minister
combine them.
was said...
Coincidence?
There was a question raised in
He
the...
quit so he could apply for citizenship.
You just get an email the other day. It's like, forwarded Friendlyjordies. And it's just like James Corden applying for a job. You're like, what? It's like, I really like it, man. It's fresh, yeah. I'm not saying level politically too. That would be mad.
What do you think about
You
this?
can play the piano.
I dance around for you.
Well, you're hired. I'm telling you.
I'll take
an
all
entertainment
loads.
machine.
I'll take all loads of abuse and never say anything about it. You're like, well, I'll take it.
One of the questions that was raised after the speech from the minister was, how do you think this will contribute to the housing crisis? Because if the immigrants come in and that increases demand, and there's already a dearth of supply, and there's also the dearth of supply bit is a bit so controversial because you could argue that that's not the case. But either way, the demand is making the prices of houses higher, and Australians aren't able to afford houses. To
Absolutely.
which the minister responded by saying, the post-COVID era, where we should have had COVID not happen, we would have hundreds of thousands more immigrants. In fact, the freeze on immigration after COVID cost Australia the greatest labor shortage since the Second World War, and look at where we are now. Housing is a mess. And so her argument was that the issue with housing isn't immigration, it's something else. She didn't go into what that something else was.
Well, we know what it is,
But
right?
we
Negative
kind of know.
gearing, no caps
Negative
on
gearing,
buying.
yeah, like the
Fucking
incentives
using it
for
like a
people to keep buying up
yeah,
houses and
commodity.
getting richer,
Yeah. that's the
driving
problem.
up the cost of it.
But that'll
blah,
never
blah,
be
blah.
solved, right? Didn't you explain that it's the situation is kind of like Labor can't, no one can touch it.
No one
So-
can touch it.
So Australia's fucked for housing
No.
forever.
And let me just go through the reason for that again, which is, in short, the Liberal Party's version of Medicare, as in the Liberals would love to gut Medicare. They would love it. It is the same with Labor Party and housing. And we know this because they went to 2 elections promising to do something about housing, and they got beaten back twice because they were going to do something about housing. So Australians want Medicare, and they want their houses to be worth $2 million. Sorry, that's what the electorate wants. As public servants, you can only do so much.
Shit. So that's it. Houses are just going to be perpetually going up.
Yeah.
Shit. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Time to Ipswich is looking good.
All right. Speaking of while we're on the topic, there's a new study
Fuck.
that was published
Sorry, this is very unprofessional. It's like a horse.
that was published in Japan, Jordan, and they're saying that by the year 2070, the Japanese population is going to reduce by 1/3. So currently it's around 110 million, and they're saying that it's going to reach around 75, 77 million by the year 2070, assuming that they double their immigration.
Whoa. Look, I think the Japanese are happy with that. It's a tiny island.
They're not.
Well, I'm sure the
They're-
government isn't happy with it,
they're
but I'm sure the
shit scared.
people, yeah, the government should be scared.
And same thing
But-
is happening in Italy, where literally schools are closing down because the number of children is just dramatically reducing. Hospitals with pediatric divisions are also.
But I don't really understand this whole thing about having a big country is, yes, you want the purchasing power or whatever. Luxembourg seems to be doing fine.
I mean, it really depends on what kind of an economy you've got going. But the other thing is, like, the way our economy is, yes, we need people. We just need consumers at the end of the day. However, and you're going to hate this, Jordan, but if this whole AI revolution ends up happening, then maybe we could like sort of move to a place where consumers, the number of people is not fundamental for capitalism.
Yes.
Which currently it is, unfortunately.
Yes. But this is the whole thing. This is the one point that I do agree with hippies on. At the end of the day, really, why is consuming so important?
Because it makes money. It
I
makes
know.
taxes.
I hate that
Yeah.
word.
Every time you buy something, you pay a portion of that to tax.
But
Every
what
time
if
you
the
buy
world
something,
population reduced and then everybody just needed to consume less as a result of that?
yeah, I mean, your standard of living would go down.
Would it?
Yeah, it would. In the current system, it also depends on what kind of a country you are. Honestly, for a country like us, it's not nearly as big of a problem as it is for, let's say, a country like Italy or a country like the UK, because
Well, a country like Pakistan, it's a problem that you're having so many kids.
Yes, but that's because the pendulum has swung all the way to the other end, where there's just way too many people and there's a lack of resources. In places like Italy and England, sure, I mean, there's some lack of resources, but that's not the issue. The issue is that there's not enough people that are filling in jobs that are crucial to keep the economy going at the level that it is going now.
Yeah, but
So what I'm saying is, like, for countries like Australia or a country like Saudi Arabia, having a big population, not that big of a deal, because most of our money is actually coming from natural resources that we're exporting, which are indifferent to the number of people that are living on that land. However, if you are a country like the UK, where most of your income comes from either like the financial sector or manufacturing, you need people to manufacture. And if you're, or a country like Japan as well, if the number of people that are working in your factories and your industries is going down, so is the number of, so is the output that you're producing.
I'm sure that Japan is moving all of their manufacturing out to the third world.
No, but like, I'm talking about high-end manufacturing as well. So I'm not talking
But
about
when
like
it comes to
making
high-end
shit stuff.
manufacturing, that's when you get into the AI stuff that's already here.
That's what I'm saying. So like, if we do, but we're not there yet. There's conjecture that we might go there. Some people think that we're definitely going there. But if we do go into that realm where AI is producing most of the, then maybe this population collapse is coinciding at the best time possible.
Yes.
Right? So maybe like there's a cosmic plan behind this. But we still don't know. I remember 7-8 years ago, I was talking about how AI is taking over and how this was the time when Elon Musk was essentially automating the entire Tesla factory with these massive robots that were going to be making cars from literally start to finish with like a few people just monitoring how the progress is going. And I remember saying that to your neighbor, who, by the way, is like one of the pioneers of tech industry. He's I think responsible for one of the first computers ever made.
Yes.
So, and he's like, so he's very much involved in this. And he said to me, he's like, just hold your horses. We're not nearly close to that. And I was like, but like, yeah, I know we're not there yet. But like in 10, 20 years, like, I don't know about the timeline that you're talking about either. And I was like, you're an old man. You don't know what's going on. Do you know what happens? 3 years later, Elon comes out and says that automating the Tesla factory was the worst decision that he had made. He was like, it just wasn't ready. You can do, big machines can do like big things, but like moving things into like positions and stuff, machines are not capable of that. And so he had to like roll back, and he had to get rid of a lot of those machines and got more people working. And then I was thinking, Jordan's neighbor was right. And of course he'd be right. He's been working in this industry for so long. which gives me this doubt that this timeline that people are talking about may not be as quick as we assume. So in which case, we're in a race against time. We probably need a lot more AI investment because we're moving towards the population collapse. Japan is just like, it's just so futuristic, even in that term. Like, what Japan is going through is not a problem that we're going through, but we imagine that by the time Japan is at that collapse, we would be collapsing as well. And so we're hoping that by that point, that collapse would not matter as much.
But doesn't population reduction coincide with income going up? Like income,
yeah, urbanization. It usually does, which is the problem that we're facing. Like
what I'm saying is it'll more or less be a problem globally as every country becomes more affluent, or at least China.
Yeah, but like
and India
the problem is that the third world is still
getting into that phase.
It's still so early.
Yeah.
They're where we were in like
but what's
the 60s and 50s.
But what's the problem? What's the actual problem you're concerned about?
The problem is that there's not going to be enough people to consume, which means that the total economic pie is going to diminish. Yes, there's going to be lesser people, but a lot of people are going to go on pain because of it.
I see.
And that's the worry that a lot of countries have.
So what's Japan going to, for example, what's
Japan is, because Japan is too far ahead in this situation.
So what are they doing? Seriously, like what are they going to do?
They don't know. They're trying to just increase the number of people. They keep
I knew it.
incentivizing
Anime was evil. I knew it.
And they're also increasing immigration. They're trying to increase immigration as much as possible. And
it was
yeah, what are you going to do?
It's a
There's
real,
no
it's a
other
weird
solution.
phenomenon because
God, it's just this endless tinkering, though, isn't it? Because honestly, migration at the levels that we have had it is very detrimental to our economy.
I don't know if I agree with that, man. Migration, like, okay, if you look at when Australian economy opened up to migration, it actually ushered in like 2 decades of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it
but again,
it
like,
transformed.
but you always have to just be measuring it. You're being like,
Yeah, but like it also coincided with Paul Keating's era, which literally moved Australia, I would say, from a second world country to a first world country. And migration had a big role to play in it. So there's a lot of the problem. Like, look, there's a lot of drawbacks to migration as well. But on a whole, for the economy, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It might be bad culturally. It might make your politics toxic. It might create further polarization. And you have to hedge whether it's worth doing that or not.
I still don't buy it. I think that, yes, if you're getting migrants that are going to be contributing $70,000 a year in their jobs coming here, yes, that's fine. If, however, they're coming here and they're just replacing bricklayers because they can do it cheaper,
yeah, but
that's not good for the economy.
No, it's not anymore, which is why...
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
In fact, it didn't even matter to us. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, this new policy of Labour government should have been implemented 10 years ago, honestly. So we've moved from the time where we don't need unskilled manual labor. But there was a time in the Western world where they needed it.
Yeah.
Particularly after the Second World War, which is why a lot of people that... Australia was, again, late to this because of its history with being anti-immigrants and... But the rest of the world was looking to get unskilled labor to literally work at factories because there weren't enough people to be doing it. But now we're at a position where we definitely don't need it, which is why you see move towards skilled migration. So, like, I think everything is like the policies are a product of their time. You might get lag because of certain governments that weren't really paying attention to it. But we are moving there. We're not getting those unskilled labor anymore.
I swear to God, though, you can just get by with a smaller population, but just doing and encouraging the right employment sectors for your country. I swear that you can do that.
I think Australia probably could because of our economy. But then again, that means we're hedging our bets completely on the mining sector for the foreseeable future, which in hindsight, I don't think is a bad, like, I don't think that's too unreasonable either. Like, we've got, like, particularly if this green transition happens the way we're expecting it to transition, then yeah, we've got a bright future without having a huge population base. But we still need extremely skilled migrants to help us with that transition either way.
Yeah, true. But I also think that Japan could definitely be doing exactly the same thing. And on top of that, I think that Japan generally, this is what I hear, a lot of them are fine with going into negative growth. They like it.
Why?
They like the fact they've gone into a recession
Really?
because they were just promised that if they just turned themselves into AI machines and worked all the time, that everything would be great and happy. And it's kind of just turned into a cyberpunk film. And so they don't like it.
Yeah.
And they like the fact that the economy's slowing down and so people have to work less. And,
right.
You know?
I mean, I like...
People don't have to work less. People have to work more. In Japan, for instance, you can't set retirement ages like that. Like, there's 65-year-old, 70-year-old workers that cannot retire. So what Japan is doing is essentially giving them these bionic backs. So
That's sick. Look, I'm only seeing ups for Japan.
No, I'm serious.
No,
It is. I'm telling you, it's a cyberpunk dystopia.
but
They're just slowly cyborging all these old people.
but why is it?
And then you can just download the consciousness into a robot, and then it'll just be like, "Arigato gozaimasu," and come to work.
which is why. By the way, just another.
So maybe we don't need AI.
In
we don't need
France-
cyborgs.
old Japanese cyborg?
In France, they increased the retirement age and the pension
and they
age
striked. They went on strike.
because of this reason. The productivity is going to diminish if you let people
But wait,
retire at
what-
the same
but-
level when there was an ample supply of young people. And because of this, Japan has been in perpetual protest for the last months, where like it's really annoying for the government. They don't know how to deal with this. And it's in fact going to result in some horrible election results next time around.
Really?
And
But what?
They'll still get in.
Wait, but
whoever, someone obviously will get in, but this is again a consequence of shrinking population.
Why is it that when affluence goes up, population goes down? Because it seems like more like an existential question. People
It's
don't
not
like kids. Is the only reason to have kids as income? Like, surely there's a connection. There's a human evolution, not even evolution. There's like a spiritual reason to have children. Why is it that when money goes up, people just don't have like they're
I
not?
think a lot of it is to do with education.
It's also not
What do you
just
mean, though?
money.
Like, it's
money
dumb to
isn't
have a
the
kid?
biggest contributing
Yeah.
factor.
Why is it dumb to have a kid? Because it's expensive.
Well, no, it depends. Like, you're right. There's just an increasing economy, but there's also increased education. And so the more educated you are, the less you need all these manual labor, little tiny midget lackeys around you milking cows.
But surely there's other reasons to have a kid than income.
No, but like here's the thing.
Right?
It's not
No,
income.
but like
Yes,
now,
think
as an
about it
educated
this way.
person, now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get like 1 or 2 kids and I'll do it and I'll freeze 2 eggs and we'll do it when we're like 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just what happens when you start becoming educated.
But it's also not education or income alone. The biggest contributing factor is urbanization.
Why though?
So
It's more expensive.
When you're in rural areas and you're primarily farming,
You need people to
you need a lot of
milk the
people to work.
cows, yeah.
So women historically that were having 10 kids weren't doing it because they thought innately that having 10 kids is fulfilling me more. It's because that's
they
how
need
you
it.
had a well-functioning household that earned
s-
income.
So cities don't
But
require.
when you
is that-
move into cities and people move into factories, the idea of having 10 kids is such a big liability. So all of a sudden, women decide, I'm not going to have 10 kids. I'm going to have 1 or 2. And so the reason why we have this big base is because we're coming from an agricultural time and we're carrying that massive base of people where people had 10 kids because you knew 3 of them were going to die anyways, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're moving into this urbanization. Now we're in an advanced phase of it where the bulk of the population that we had created in the agricultural times is now depleting. They've
I
reached
get
their
that.
end.
I get that, but why is the Japanese population in such rapid decline? Like, is there some like masochism there? Is there some sort of like we hate ourselves, or like it doesn't? It makes sense for it to stagnate and maybe start going like down. But
It's
like,
also the cost of living, I guess.
right? So it's like a mix of that with the cost of living.
in urban Japan. Yeah.
Well, there has to be. Maybe they should start like not Japan, generally through the world, start rethinking the sort of cities, like make them more, or I don't know, just like bolster an environment where it's like okay to have kids, because otherwise it is like even in Sydney now it's like insane. It would be insanely expensive. So it's like maybe there isn't there a way to
Dude,
encourage
it
it?
is, it is exactly what I was reading about with Karl Marx, where it was saying that in the, I hate these words, but capitalist system, you're always teetering on the edge of a crisis, and it's only a matter of time before it tips over and it all starts again. And that's just the nature of it. Really, all you can do is, all these genius economists are doing all the time is trying to prolong the crisis collapse.
But that's not a
But
solution.
it inevitably happens.
It's just like a Band-Aid solution. It's like, just we'll this and that here and there, but like this and that. But like, what I'm saying is Spaniards should run the city.
Wouldn't that be and also, he'd just be like, yeah, the vapes. In fact, all of it. You should get beheaded if you try weed.
He'd probably be the best leader.
He would be sick.
But there has to be
Spaniard for PM.
But there has to be some. There has to be some like big picture thinking here, and I'm sure Labor can do it. Where there has to be some like big picture thinking of like, how can we make it more lucrative and like attractive to want to have 2 or 3 kids? There's got to be a way. Increase wages for one, maybe tax companies more. Build more out in regional areas so it's not all condensed in one area. More job opportunity. Aren't these things?
They're
that would
trying
help?
all of that, miss. But at the end of the day, you can't
Yeah.
beat nature. It's just
Yeah, that's it.
You can't beat nature.
It's just eventually societies collapse.
they're trying all of what you're saying. In
Shit.
Japan, they're
doing it.
pissing their pants. They're trying everything that they can. Such
So
big,
it's not some sort of existential thing of they hate themselves. It's just all these lots of things. It's capitalism, really. Is that what it is?
Yeah, but look, here's my argument about that. It's just like, I just really don't see another way of organizing society. I know that, and this is
Really?
the whole thing, right? Like, I know that people are always going to be saying like, you need socialist revolution, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
It's not.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
These idyllic things of how society produces. I mean, the thing is, the stuff that Karl Marx is talking about, when you even talk about something like feudalism, really the same principles are applying there.
What is feudalism? In a sentence,
It's just
you
like
have
a
5
lord
shekels.
owns you,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he's actually saying that it was a much more honest system because everybody knew that they owed a third of their crops to the lord and 2/3 of the crops were theirs.
Yeah.
And so actually it took them generations to even accept wage.
Wow.
Original peasants were saying, that's slavery. I'm above a slave. Oh, I'm a serf.
You know, you know what's crazy? That's what Chomsky says.
What?
I listened to Chomsky recently, and they're like, "What about the people?" Have always been like, "The West is the best, right? Wages, free market." And he's like, it's pretty intense. But he's just like, "What is your job? It's you're a slave." Like that's what he's saying. He's just like, you're told you've got your wiggling room, but it's essentially a form of slavery. And it's like,
actually, isn't that what Das Capital was saying? I just remember this, that wages is the last resort. So when you've got nothing else to sell, you sell your labor.
Yeah.
And so you get into that cycle of wage. So, like, essentially, historically, if you were earning a wage, you were the bottom of the bottom.
shit.
Yes.
Everyone else was just sharing the production.
Yes.
Jesus.
But having said that, this wage slavery did build the modern world.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, to play devil's advocate, it does seem like the kind of thing where it's like human nature is, people's like utopian ideas do disregard human nature. People get greedy, people... Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like the people are like, we can share lettuce. It's like, yeah, but then someone wants 2 lettuce heads. And you're like, I want, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a middle ground between America and like some utopian society where it's like we all share, we grow vegetables and share them on a global scale. There's got to be some middle ground, right?
Yeah, there are middle grounds. It's called Australia.
Yeah.
That's what we get. But the thing is, I just honestly think that any way that you organize society, there's always going to be these problems that inevitably result in a collapse. There's
think
nothing where it's just
I
going to
think
be
man,
you're
you
right.
gotta be-
progress.
No, you're right.
That's survival, baby. Like,
That's what I mean. We're,
that's what we've just been at
Yeah.
odds against nature. And we're
always,
trying to like
always.
just
Yeah.
avert catastrophe after
Yeah.
catastrophe.
That's it. It is
And
human nature
honestly,
to a
dude, at
degree.
some point it will end. Like it'll just go ahead of
Yeah,
us, and we
yeah.
won't be able to control it.
It is human nature.
We just live with it.
And it is nature. And it's like, yeah, it's the same thing, like a typhoon wipes
Dude,
you
there's
out.
no way our human civilization is gonna last forever.
No way, dude.
No, it's not
Like,
happening.
and it's not even forever. It's like it's probably another, if we're lucky, 100,000 years. If we're
if
lucky.
we're lucky, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, probably not.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Well, it just really depends. But I truly do think that, look, and this is something that Marx actually was saying in Das Kapital as well. He was actually acknowledging this. And this is something that I was thinking about recently because I just did something on the National Disability Insurance Scheme. And it's very easy to just always point the picture at the greedy capitalists.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, undeniably so. However, why did Australia, for instance, settle with an insurance scheme for, Medicare and the NDIS? The reason for that is, at some point, and China understood this. This is why China actually did open up to the capitalist system, because they understood that at some point the government it's a rigid thing, and it can provide things very well, and it can innovate, and it's a myth to say that it doesn't innovate, and it innovates great things. It, however, does not innovate all these teeny little niche things. So when it comes to the National Disability Insurance Scheme, it is riddled with shark companies that just take disabled people for a ride. That's some of them. That is not all of them. There are private companies that are coming up with all these innovations that drastically improve disabled people's lives. And a government, first off, would never have the initiative to do it. It'd get lost in a sea of bureaucracy to even think about it, because they're so niche and small. They wouldn't even have the knowledge to perceive thinking about it. So you kind of just let these markets do their thing, and then eventually they find these little niche. It definitely does work.
Yeah.
It does give you these innovations.
I think, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think what I'm hearing is, if Labour are in constantly, society would be fine.
Yeah.
And
I just think that really, that.
No, I'm not even saying it as a joke. It seems like it's common. They have common sense policies.
Really, let's just think about this. This is something that I've been thinking about with the Labor Party. Why is it consistently over the last 120 years one of the greatest governments on earth? I'll tell you why. Because it's just nowhere near as ideologically driven as a lot of other parties are in the world. Or the thing is, look, Bernie Sanders, when people are always saying, oh, yeah, the Greens and all that kind of stuff, and they're just putting up their AOCs and their Bernie Sanders, what they're fighting for, the Labor Party achieved in the 60s.
That's a good point.
Further.
That's a good point.
Further.
That's a good point.
On the other hand, as well, if you were Ben Shapiro and you were smart, instead of just going back to Reagan, you would actually go to someone like Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. That's the pin-up boy of the quote-unquote right. Yeah? That's the guy that organised society in a good way using those kind of principles. And the Labor Party looked at Singapore and thought, yeah, we'll take some of those ideas, and we'll take some ideas from Norway, because those are the things that are working. And it combines the two. So really, it's kind of this envy of both Singapore and Norway, and it's combined them together, where we have achieved similar living standards to Norway without the inhibiting taxes and rigidity on the free market that they have. These are all Labor Party accomplishments.
Man, you should vote Labour.
I'll consider it next time. No, I'm joking.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for this week. I hope you enjoyed the pod. We will see you next week, unless you're one of the cool kids and you are a patron of the Friendlyjordies Podcast, in which case you'll obviously access this pod before everyone else, but you also get the Up Late podcast. So along with the pre-show. So make sure you sign up.
Yeah, there's a lot of bonuses.
To Patreon. And continue to support us.
We'll see you next time.
Gets a little blue.
Bye.